Hello, my name's Jonathan Riley. Today I'm going to talk about my work experience as a writer, how I develop my skills, and what I've been doing recently, and hope this gives you more information about myself and that whoever is watching this or listen to this, they find the information useful. And this information could even be used to actually inspire yourself or to help build your own portfolio and skill set. Because as a writer or being a writer, uh, there's a plethora of skill sets, there's a plethora of goals. It's just a question of developing the skills and your own writing niche as well. As a writer, I'd say I've been a content writer, copywriter. I would say a copywriter that's more to do with the marketing side of writing. Is doing the writing, the sales by writing. So let's say you got a page, you have a landing page, you have an online page, and that page has got to generate so much revenue. Let's just say a page is worth £500 or £10,000, whichever it is, depending on the traffic and the scale of the SEO. As a writer, you write up the content, and that content on that page will generate revenue. You'll either do it in bulk, if you do a lot of articles, they generate loads of revenue, or if you do one, a good SEO, there's good viewership, there's already established audience, that'll generate revenue as well through things like affiliate marketing. That's like a good example of this would be Amazon affiliate marketing, or setting up your own t-shirts websites, which a lot of YouTubers do, a lot of podcasters do. They sell their own t-shirts, sell their own mugs, just to help generate extra revenue and cash because the subscribers and the ad revenue. It may be inconsistent, or it could be that a particular brand, a particular podcast is not good for actual marketing as well. Just because when it comes to marketing, uh, more people are on the left side of marketing. People are more left wing, not left side, but more left wing. They will not buy products if they're for moral reasons, but if they're on the right, they'll keep buying your products. And also, I think as well that women control 95% of household spending. That varies just because at the moment there's changing demographics as well. It's happening because people in the West, well, I say the West, most of Europe, around the world as well, places like India, China, definitely, Japan, the United States to a lesser extent, they're not having kids, or people are moving together a lot later as well. I think the average age of marriage now is around the late 20s, sometimes even early 30s, depending what statistics you look at. And that affects household spending, and there's new markets now trying to cater to single men, single women. Another fact I learned because I did a marketing qualification, a little term digital marketing, uh, understanding why people buy products, why people the way that they do. I did that for a year, so I got really glued in understanding marketing, and like I didn't know this, but I want a lot of um, when women buy products, they don't like people spend behind, which is a given, but they don't like people behind them, or they go down as well. And also, there's more women now buying male underwear, but it's more comfortable. I don't know the difference between female underwear because I don't wear women's underwear. If that makes sense. It was part of it was part of the it was part of the course. It wasn't exactly like hunting for it. It was just a part of the understanding marketing to men and to women. Like, for example, there's a growing trend now of men buying makeup and women's clothing. Which is also, it's all very interesting because, like, it's how the dynamics are changing. Society now, if you look at, if you go and sit down at a place in park somewhere in the West, or it's very liberal, you see these images, sexual images of men or women, and they do this to actually cause sex sells. So well, particularly men, are visual, and it sells the products. And as society got more and more liberal in that sense, it no longer works as much. That's why you see like celebrities trying to do more and more outlandish stuff to help generate products and sales. It's all very it's all very fascinating as well. I mean, I even did some work in even like with sales as well as like there's the manip there's the sales tactic there. I kind of got a bit sidetracked, but I always thought the marketing, why people buy products, why do they do what they do. For example, if you speak to somebody, if you get them to say yes repeatedly, yes, 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 they're more likely to say yes again as well. I find stuff like that is very, it is very interesting. I believe the actual book is called Why We Buy by Akio Underhill. Akio Underhill is again, it's a very interesting book, and I do strongly recommend it as well. I also recommend Seth Godin's with his marketing. We bring forth the strategy of the purple cow. Sorry about that, I just got someone with the screen colour. My apologies about that, I've fixed it. I don't know what caused that, but yeah. But the book by Seth Godin, This is Marketing, that's a very interesting book as well. It talks about how products need to have adaptability and that it needs to be able to fit the actual the overall the product's got to be able to like continually attract the audience. So he uses them with a purple cow. But after a while, people get fed up of seeing the same stuff all the time, or it no longer gets ignored. So buy with something that's unique, something that's useful, and something that's adaptable. So as a writer, it's usually sometimes we work with UX designers as well to actually develop the content on the screen so it's better for users to actually read. And as they update the website, try to make it more so it's easy for people to use, and that gets more people actually going onto the website. Writers, we do something similar as well. Now, I'll try to get more. It's part of my more of my knowledge experience. I think it's all very interesting just because, from my experience, it's writing, marketing, copywriting, the sales aspect of it as well, and also working with UX designers on that side of the team. Sometimes it's intersectional. It interacts with other members as well, so it's all sort of related, especially now in this more workplace where companies need us as writers to do more than one task as well. So you're not just a writer; you can also be doing graphics. You can do design. You can be doing stuff like the computer side of things. There's a need for a more universal writer, or people with more universal skills, just because it's a competitive workplace. Now, as for myself, how I develop my skills, I started in late 2020. I started off in actually door-to-door sales and customer service, and as I was doing that, I was thinking there's got to be a better way of doing this because why would I talk to 120 people a day? I aim to talk to 120 people a day. This could be done which is obviously it's marketing, but at the time it was in September, and I didn't know anything, really know anything at the time about sales, about marketing, and about writing. So from there, I looked into writing, looked into sales, started reading books, did a few online courses in copywriting, just trying to learn about the industry as well. For example, for whoever's reading this, usually most people doing freelance work, sales work, anything sort of more commission based, they usually don't last any more than 5 years, just because of stability, and it can be hard to break into as well. Um, back to more myself now. So I joined Oriflame Cosmetics as a brand partner, and that was working doing writing for social media, working as a social media influencer, doing makeup tutorials, doing videos, Facebook primarily. I also did it was also partly a door-to-door sales role as well, also sales online. I did that for 12 months. The reason why I left that position was just because I don't have a passion for makeup. I don't wish to apply makeup to my face, do makeup videos. My heart and soul was just really in that frame of work. I just did it for the experience, the just to say that I've done it really, because to me, for that position, it was very much underpaid. I didn't really agree with some of the structures of it, so I stayed there for my 12 months until my contract ran out, and then looked for something else. But I did take a lot of information from that as well. I also, whilst I was doing this, I was also doing my marketing copywriting qualifications as well. What else to do? Oh, yeah. Also in that same year, in 2021 as well, because it was from the original contract was from November 2020 to November 2021. So and then June, July, and August, I worked for a startup company called the Successful Mindset. They are still active. The goal of the organisation was to try and sorry about that. I just looked at for a second. Then the goal of that company was to try to actually improve companies' development, improve in tackle invert stress, tackle in-work efficiencies. Because originally they primarily worked with the NHS. They also did some work integration as well whilst I was there. So it was all like it was a combination of roles, but there was more of a goal, not exactly move away from the government services, move away from NHS, move away from integrating people, or moving to the United Kingdom. Just because the team that I was working with, that having they are they've told me straight up that for the NHS, the government know what's wrong with the NHS. The NHS knows what's wrong with the NHS. There's just no willingness or any cultural willingness to actually change. Um, and as for integration, they're just telling me a lot of these communities. I'm not going to mention the community just because I don't know who's watching this. They might say it's racist or anti whatever it is. But they said that it's yours to do with the grandparents because you've got generational families living together. That's going to make them more conservative, and they're not going to be willing to. Well, they'll integrate at much slower lengths as a slower rate because rather than taking 2 or 3 generations, it might take 4 generations because they're all living together and they'll be sharing the same culture, same belief systems, and won't be adapting to actually the more liberal life in the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom it really began in the 18th century, I would say, maybe a bit before because of the Protestant Revolution, but I'm trying not to get. It really began in the 1750s with the Romantic writers, and then more moved towards atheism in the preceding centuries, and also a society becoming more, rather than collectivist, becoming more liberal, and that this led to the development of the liberalism which we have today. I am really pushing over things, but just let you know that the society we have today doesn't come from a bubble. It doesn't come from nowhere. It was developed over time. It was grown, and today, predominantly in the Western Europe, it's a godless society. It's not really faith based. The same thing happened to the United States as well. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that's what happened, and that the countries where there's ultra conservatism, attitudes to women, attitudes to sex, when they come over this country, there could be a bit of a culture shock. And when government tries to actually develop them, or try to help with the integration, there's unwillingness to actually confront this kind of social development. Just because different nations develop on different bases, not all good, not all bad. It's not meant to judge. It's just it is what it is. It's same with the NHS as now. NHS well have a different outlook just because that was the culture in the NHS. The culture, they know what the problems were. There just wasn't a willingness to change because they didn't want to rock the boat. That's why we moved to more the private sector. And that's why for them I did work on hidden disabilities like dyslexia, dyspraxia, people that are neurodivergent. And I found that work to be very rewarding. I was contracted to work within just 3 months, but I enjoyed it. They did tell me before that it would be just 3 months, it wouldn't be extended. So that was just the way that the contract worked. And again, I learned a lot from that experience about writing, copywriting, doing work for I had to write documents that I sent toward the CEOs or people that are making over £45,000 a year. They must stay with the kind of people who have the access to income that actually could buy their company's services. I also had to design a strategy for people with autism. Sometimes with people with autism, they don't have I'll say it's not that they don't have the social skills, just that they haven't developed the social skills. So I would think of Temple Grandin, because when she started out, she was very robotic, the way that she spoke, the way she looked at people, but she learned to do the social cues, like look, give people appropriate eye contact, don't just stare at them like this. See, the way I'm talking now, I'm keeping my eyes like this, really, really wide, but I'm not really like, the expression is wrong. If you can see this, if you listen to this by audio. So there's those kind of elements as well. And the ability to actually, because I've worked with some. I know people that are autistic, and it's not that they can't necessarily, some of them can't feel emotions or show, they just have problems showing and expressing them as well. And sometimes social media and phones actually the way of escaping. But the way that I said, the way to resolve this problem is to have them come in, do the work, show they can actually do the work, and then they can get the job that way. But again, something like this, there's some drawbacks just because, if it's more of a communication role, you need to use these people skills, the, which is essential. Or somebody might necessarily yet be able to do this. Then again, companies now, there's a conflict of interest, there's a conflict there, which you have to be careful of. Because if we went into some companies, when we say the problem with your system, that can mean somebody could get fired, or it can make them scared to actually want to do anything. Because from what we've said, from my experience, the people and companies don't like change because change means risks. And I've known this from my own personal experience, working out for being in the workforce, that there is, for some people, there's an element of fear. And again, they don't try not to use the word because it can change, because it can scare people. So there's that as well. And again, that there's an example with Temple Grandin, because she develops slaughterhouses. Was that when she actually came in, she tried to bring change, but you change in a way that didn't scare people off. And she found that to be very effective, and that was a similar sort of thing to what we were doing as well. Saying at the end of the day, it's to try to meet the client's needs, understand the needs of the clients, and understand like where does our remit begin, where does it end, what is our actual power and authority. Because again, that's why they're moving away from the NHS integration, just because there were problems there, there were possible solutions, but they never want to be addressed. And again, they were telling me about this as well, and they just said, don't really mention it. I'll bring it up, which is a big appeal, but that was from the experience. I also had the contract with Plymouth 3 months as well. There, I worked on landing pages, doing SEO, the keywords, and writing the way that'd be good for looking at what reading on your phone, reading on tablet, which is the 3 lines. Keep it no longer than 3 lines, the words if you can, and space out the words so it's easy for people to read online on the screens. And keywords that was like, say, if we were doing something like digital marketing strategies for young people, and that was what I did for them as well. I also did work on investing for a place called Jigsaw Trading, how to use their services, how to actually invest in stock, and I also did like what is a stock, what is index fund, and the risk involved. There's an element of emotion. I'm going to go into more investing and stocks a bit later in this video, just because something like it's more of it's part of the skill set of to do my writing. I'm just going to it. And this is more going through my work timeline and the experience I got from them as well. I also did some work for a company called Arcadia. For Arcadia, that was doing more of an essay format using the Associate Press writing style. It was supposed to, for them, it's supposed to be more academic style writing, which I've experienced from my 3 years at university, 4 years, because it's from 2014 to 2018. But it's actually 3 years. It's just over 4 years, but 3 years modules. Well, courses it was free, but from there as well. So I worked for them for 2 months as a volunteer writer, just to develop more skill, more experience. I've also I also worked as a news writer for them as well for an online news website called Pigeon Week. For them, I did articles on investing, personal development, culture, gaming, and bit of news writing as well, and also history writing, arts and history, like the origins of the kings and queens of England, kind of thing, like why is the UK called the United Kingdom, that history, culture, business, sort of like Robert Kiyosaki, mindset, like his philosophy as well. He's a bit of a controversial figure in business circles because of his investment strategies. I've also written for a couple of magazines as well. I've written for History on the Net. I've written for History is Now. I've written for I'm writing currently for Sobrinite. That's as a arts and culture writer. It's talking about what art is. Like for one, I did a piece recently on the Chinese New Year and why is that different from the Western New Year? Is there any differences? I was talking about the calendar as well, the Julian calendar. The Julian calendar was developed by Julius Caesar, and the Gregorian calendar was developed in the 16th century by a pope called Gregor. I just can't remember the exact number because the number of popes, like Pope John Paul II or Boniface VIII. But yeah, so I did that as well. I've also did some work on mental health for the 087 recovery diaries, talking about people's mental health journey, how you can recover from mental health. Because, for example, as human beings, if we spend too much time looking at screens, they can cause some sort of depression and they are very addictive as well. Uh, to do with this, when Steve Jobs, when actually people developing the Apples, the iPhones, that kind of technology, they know actually know how addictive it was, or they believe they knew how addictive it was. It's a bit controversial because we actually know. But it says a lot that the people actually design the mobiles and work on those kind of systems don't let their own children use them. So that's a big giveaway. So again, so we just start simply going outside for a bit, doing some exercise. I rated my own mental health struggle as well. So I was in a bad way for a time, and how I actually recovered for myself through exercise. I don't look at it on camera, but I do. I try to go to the gym at least twice a week. I usually aim for about 3 or 4, just so I can keep myself healthy. Because being outside, because being on a screen writing for 8 hours, more hours. At the moment, I'm working remote or working freelance or working organisation with all kind of environments, depending on the actual office culture. But for something like that, exercising, trying to go outside, trying to sort out your sleep pattern, I think that really helped me with my recovery as well. And also the fact that I was actually during my time as a door-to-door salesman helped me to actually build up the social skills that I was lacking. Because the only way to be succeed something like that, you got to actually sell to people. That requires just developing those social skills automatically. And by speaking to strangers and meeting different kind of people, it really helped me that way as well. So I was talking about that in the articles and how people can actually form different strategies to actually help them with their mental health. I also make the point that what worked for me, what works for other people, may not necessarily work for yourself. For the history side of things, articles uh, I've done work on World War II, the Cold War period, done medieval history. I've also done some work on motivation and self-development as well. It's also part of the 087 cover diaries, but this is for another magazine. This was as a ghostwriter, so you won't see them mentioned in the my actual links on my LinkedIn page. Just because the ghostwriter, it's a website called Embrace the Suck. And for them, the keyword regarding the SEO was embrace the suck. I'm talking about how that people in the military they have this philosophy called embrace the suck, and that so they use this to actually beat themselves up. That it could be harder. It's been worked on that one a couple of months ago now. so the details are a bit foggy. As for myself, writing niches that I've actually done, uh, being in cryptocurrency, investing, bit of demographics, history, culture, the arts, gaming, news writing, and again, I would say I'm very much a generalist, as in I can make myself an expert really quickly just by reading online articles, reading books. I always try to keep myself informed. I read books on marketing, I read books on writing, reading history, reading culture, got tons of audiobooks, and also investing as well. So again, I'm very quickly up to date. And I also dabble in a bit of psychology, a bit of feminism, a bit of evolutionary psychology as well. But for that, I would say it's very controversial, that subject, just because it can be used to actually put down women as well. I don't agree with, but naturally, but it says that men behaved a certain way 1,000 years ago. That means that must be how they behave today, and say the same for women as well. It's like uh, like I say, the reason why we find it hard to lose body weight because it was evolutionarily adapted that we don't lose that weight. We don't know when the next meal is going to be. So that's why a lot of us are overweight, just because our genetics, the way we were formed, made it harder for us to actually lose weight as well. But with our modern diets, with the foods full of sugars, so there's that element there. So I just find that interesting. Like, why do we behave the way we behave? Why do women prefer taller men? And why do men like women with wide hips? That kind of thing. But also, like, why do I, when we go outside, you see the sky is blue, the grass is green? Why do we get a good feeling from that? Because it was more of our evolutionary environment. I think that's interesting. I think it's been the field's been taken over by a lot of right wingers as well, like Ben Shapiro, the Science Podcast. I think that's tragedy, really, but it's what happened. Currently, I've written for a few. This is brief sum now. I've written for quite a few magazines, and I've currently writing for a place called the Training Hub. And that's doing online courses related to like looking after the elderly, traffickers, looking out for child abuse, those kinds of like slides. For them, I'm contracted, so I can say what I've done. I can't talk about the details because those details are for the clients. Uh, I think that covers everything about myself. I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of research. I've worked in many niches, and it's all it is quite a lot. But I'll leave my which my links can be found uh, on the screen. So if you want any questions, it's all in there. You can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Thank you for listening to this. Hope it's okay. I'm recording this. I started recording this on the 2nd of the 1st, and now it's the 3rd of the 1st, 2023. So a bit late now. I'm doing this. So please let me know what you think. I apologise if this is a bit rambling. It's because I'm doing this late, and I've got some work I need to get on in the morning as well. And I just won't get the time again. So if there's any problem with this, please let me know. And thank you for giving me your time and listening to me speak. Just so there's no rambling.